Captain Sarah Chen stood before the towering obsidian gates of the Galactic Council's detention facility, her weathered hands gripping a standard-issue datapad. The structure loomed against the purple sky of Nexus Prime like a monument to bureaucratic might, its seamless walls reflecting the light of 3 setting suns. For 47 days, her crew had been held inside without explanation, without trial, without so much as a formal charge. The Zephyrian guard at the entrance barely acknowledged her presence, its crystalline carapace refracting the dying light as it continued its mechanical patrol. Captain Chen had dealt with enough alien species during her 20-year career to know when she was being deliberately ignored. "Excuse me," she called out, her voice carrying the tone of someone accustomed to being heard on a starship bridge. "I'm here to collect the detention papers for my crew." The guard's multifaceted eyes swiveled toward her with the grinding sound of shifting crystal. "There are no papers, human. The Council has declared peace. Your crew remains for processing." Chen raised an eyebrow. "Processing requires documentation. Where are the detention orders? The arrest warrants? The formal charges? A second guard? This one a hulking Chthoni with skin like molten rock lumbered over. Human, you misunderstand. This is not detention. This is protective custody during the peace negotiations." Protective custody. Chen rolled the words around in her mouth like she was tasting something bitter. For 47 days. Without legal representation. Without communication privileges. She tapped her datapad against her palm. "That sounds like detention to me." The Chthoni's volcanic eyes flared. "The Council requires no human approval for its actions. Your species is new to galactic law." Chen smiled, and both guards instinctively stepped back. Humans had developed quite a reputation in the few decades since first contact, though not always the reputation they intended. "Oh, I'm not questioning the Council's authority," Chen said pleasantly. "I'm simply requesting the proper paperwork. You see, my government back on Earth has this peculiar habit of requiring documentation for any time their citizens are held by foreign powers. Call it a quirk of our legal system." She pulled up a holographic display from her datapad, showing a complex web of legal codes and treaties. According to the Galactic Accord, Section 847B, any being held for longer than 72 standard hours must be provided with formal documentation, stating the reason for detention, expected duration, and legal recourse available to the detainee. The Zephyrian's carapace dimmed noticeably. The peace negotiations supersede standard protocols. But according to Amendment 23C passed just last cycle, emergency protocols cannot exceed 45 standard days without judicial review. Chen's finger traced through the legal text with practiced ease. "We're on day 47. The two guards exchanged what might have been nervous glances, though it was hard to tell with alien physiology. "Furthermore," Chen continued, warming to her subject, "the Terran Council Treaty of 23A7 specifically states that any human held by Council authority must be afforded the same legal protections as Council citizens. That includes the right to formal charges, legal representation, and," she tapped the relevant section on her display, "properly filed detention documentation." The Chthoni's skin began to bubble slightly, a sign of distress among his species. "Human, you do not understand the complexity of the situation. The Zethkari delegation requires—" "Oh, I understand perfectly," Chen interrupted. "The Zethkari want to negotiate from a position of strength, so they've asked you to hold my crew as leverage. My people stumbled onto their secret weapons facility, and now everyone's pretending this is about peace while they figure out how to make the evidence disappear." Both guards went very still. Chen stepped closer, her voice taking on the edge of authority that had commanded respect across a dozen star systems. "But here's the thing about humans, we're absolutely obsessed with paperwork. We document everything. We file reports in triplicate. We have bureaucrats whose entire job is making sure other bureaucrats fill out the right forms." She gestured to her datapad. "I've been researching galactic law for 47 days straight. I know every statute, every precedent, every loophole in the Council's legal code. And right now, you're in violation of approximately 237 different regulations." The Zephyrian's voice had developed a distinct tremor. What do you want?" "I want my crew released. I want the Zethkari weapons facility investigated by an independent council commission. And I want it all done by the book, with proper documentation, Because that's how civilized beings handle these situations. Chen pulled up another display, this one showing a formal legal complaint already prepared and ready for filing. Or I can submit this comprehensive brief to the Council's Judicial Review Board, complete with evidence of illegal detention, treaty violations, and what appears to be conspiracy to conceal weapons of mass destruction. Your choice. The Chthoni made a sound like cooling lava. The Council will appreciate following their own laws, Chen said firmly. Trust me, I've seen what happens when bureaucracies try to ignore their own rules. It gets messy. Humans have a talent for making bureaucratic messes very, very public. For a long moment, the only sound was the whisper of Nexus Prime's tri-solar wind through the detention facility's architecture. Finally, the Zephyrian Guard activated its communication array. Control, this is Gate Station 7. We need detention release authorization for the human crew. Priority processing. Chen smiled and tucked her datapad away. Thank you. I'll wait here for the paperwork. As the gates began to iris open and her crew started filing out, Chen reflected on the peculiar truth about humans in the galactic community. They might not be the strongest species, or the most technologically advanced or the most feared in battle, but they were absolutely, unquestionably the most thoroughly annoying when it came to proper procedure. And sometimes in a galaxy run by bureaucrats, that was exactly the superpower you needed.